So we were talking about film, and one of the movies that came up was Ex Machina. From like a director, the Holy Trinity point of view.
It's a great film. Let's start with that, and then you ask me what makes it so special.
Yeah.
I think the first thing we can talk about is the believability factor of the film. And I really think an unmentioned thing that helps with the believability factor is the nature and the background at Nathan's estate. Like, through the windows, you constantly see trees, leaves, rocks, water. It's like, for it to be a movie about an android, it gives you this feeling that like there's life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is ultimately what you need to make a movie like this not come off cheesy, not come off anything. But I'm gonna get to that later.
Alright. What else?
Another thing too with the estate was the decor of it. Like, it's set up formal, comfortable, but tight. Yeah, like all the things that help the viewer feel attached to the film.
Okay.
That's one thing. After that, the character development was beautiful in this film. Like, the film doesn't really tell you anything about the main two characters until about 7 minutes into the film. However, they leave you to make easy assumptions about the main character involved in the film. Like, first off, like, it starts off first, no sound, right? And this guy just won this trip to the owner's estate, basically. No sound happens, and within those moments, you can tell everything that needs to happen, rather, I want to say, that's going to happen. In those moments, it tells you about the character. Like, all right, he's nerdy, kind of shy, but he's confident, a little awkward. But before you know the second character's name, too, Nathan, the film surprised you by showing you he's not at all who you would picture as an enormously rich tech conglomerate owner. Like, he's got this sort of like bravado about him. He's cool. He starts off talking about a hangover he had the night before. As soon as he gets down to his estate, he's like punching a boxing bag. You know what I'm saying? Very clean dude. This is also the first surprise of many that keeps you intrigued as to what's to follow. But the reason why I said the character development was so beautiful in this film is because of the mystery it adds. It's amazingly done. More films should really follow this blueprint too. It's like you don't fully understand the characters even though they introduce you to them. And those characters being Nathan, Caleb, and Ava. Ava's the android too. We'll talk about her later. But Nathan and Caleb, you don't really understand them until later in the film.
So is it just more like a false personality, or is it just none at all?
No, it's just like they introduce you to them. They have a conversation. Like, it's not about trying to throw dialogue at you. It's like who they are. Mm-hmm. It's just like they're going through their routine as they would normally do it. And through that routine, so with it being the entire movie, that's when you, as the story goes along, you figure out who they are. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the movie starts out and you know how some may start out with narration or something like that. Yeah. And it's like this guy, he's rich, tech, name's Nathan, he owns blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Where they just throw dialogue at you and it feels like, you just feel like bombarded sometimes, But really great films do this aspect and it's just like, it's flawless. And also another thing too is very subtle. It's like Nathan, Caleb, Ava, all 2-syllable names.
Right.
Very small thing in character building, but very important to the brain and processing the characters faster and easier. You know what I'm saying? And I think a crucial aspect, maybe the most crucial aspect in the film that made it so great in my eyes was how they showed AI. Yeah. Artificial intelligence. It was... They didn't give it to you in a cheesy manner. Like, they made sure they introduced it in a way that would make the viewer highly intrigued. Like, they disguised it by having Nathan ask Caleb, do you know what the Turing test is?
No.
So, it's basically if a human interacts with a computer and the human doesn't know he's interacting with the computer, then the test is passed.
Oh, really?
For you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Wow. So, it's like introducing it that way.
That's actually like some genius shit.
It is, and it's like after he asks it, Caleb responds by answering what the Turing test is, and then continuing on to say, if you can successfully complete this, this is not the history of man. This is the history of God. You know what I'm saying? And this basically keeps the viewer invested in the film and asking, like, can Nathan really pull this off?
So I have a question real quick.
Go ahead.
Was there ever a point in the movie where there was like an antagonist that had to take the test or just testing to see if whatever was a robot or not, and then like there was some action involved because of it?
No, so basically, what ends up happening, and this is a spoiler alert for anybody who haven't seen it, but basically what ends up happening is right after he explains what the Turing test is, he ends up meeting with the AI for the session 1. They sit down the next day and talk about what he was talking about, and Caleb tried to get all analytical and ask questions about like the robot, and he was like, the Turing test is already passed. Like, because and that's also too is like why I wanted to, how they showed AI was really important, but it also goes into like the twist that they added into the movie. You know what I'm saying? That was definitely one of them, you could say, and also showed you that Nathan was like an actual. He already, all that they were asking about the Turing test, he already had completed. You know what I'm saying? The whole point was to show him show Caleb Ava was a robot and see if he could feel her consciousness. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It sounds like he did.
I'll continue. That's actually right into the next point. Nathan made sure that Caleb, really smart individual, saw that Ava, the AI, was a robot, then went deeper into the Turing test, saying if we hid her from you and played her voice, she would pass for human. Nathan then told Caleb the test was, let's show you she's a robot and then see if you still feel she has consciousness. Paying attention to the word feel, too, in this movie, it's played out a bunch. It makes the viewer ask the question, what do I feel? Which plays away from the analytical questions you would have for an AI and sets the stage for an emotional setting. All things that help make it feel different than a regular just sci-fi movie, Also, too, when you finally see Ava with full body clothes on, you realize how human she looks. And this tests the audience and forces the viewer to ask themselves, like, could I tell the difference if I were to see her in real life? Right. And these aren't questions that they talk about in the movie, but just consciously or subconsciously while you're watching the film, this is what you're asking yourself. Absolutely. And then there's a moment in the film where Caleb gets Nathan blackout drunk, and Nathan passes out. Caleb steals his key card to go change some computer code and check the security camera's old files to see what Nathan was doing to the old AIs. This is the point where Caleb has begun to take pity on the robot and feels for Ava. Another question that forces the viewer to ask, do I pity the robots as well? This is an important part in the movie because it's like, would you do it for an AI? Like, you can tell it's a robot. Would you be trying to break it out of its testing?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Would you? It's a really good question I'm asking.
Well, me personally, yeah, because just with the brain I have, like, I help a fucking snail not get stomped on for 2 hours just trying to pass the street. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
right.
Especially because it's. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but it's pretty like clear that they did a good job at portraying her as human. But I'm also one of those people that, like, I don't think that humans are better than animals and shit. So I'm not, But then again, it's like, it's something that we created. Animals aren't something that we created. So
right.
I'm like, but in that moment though, because I don't know what the scene is. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know how deep it actually is. Like, I don't know if it's that deep. You know what I'm saying? If it's not that deep.
No, it's a deep movie. It's a very deep film.
Well, I can tell, but I meant like why I would bring him or her out of testing.
It's I guess too, like, I'm really not trying to spoil the movie, so like a lot of it's coming.
I'll watch it, but my answer is probably yeah. It also depends on how much I would have to go through. I normally don't put that as a factor, but I would be conscious enough to know that, like, a human created this.
Right.
Just because I feel it feels, and I mean, does it? Like, if I smash a hammer through his head, is he gonna keep smiling? Like, right. What I'm saying? Like,
I think. Man, so I was trying to order it too, but it's really like just points of what make the movie really, really great. how they introduced intensity to it was very beautiful to me by making it through power cuts.
Mm-hmm.
And these power cuts allow for intense moments, character development, and driving the story forward. For example, the first time the power outage happens, the audience sees that the facility goes into complete lockdown and there's no way out of any room once lockdown happens. The second time, it allows Ava to share information on Nathan that forces Caleb to take a look deeper into who Nathan is and therefore feel something for Ava. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the point in the movie, and this is the reason why I love the movie so much. It's the surprise twist inside, and this is what makes the movie so deep. I'll start with one that's very minute. This happens like the first 3 minutes in, and it's basically that the estate is actually a research facility. This shows you that Nathan, who was talking about a hangover he had the night before, as I mentioned earlier, and other things away from research, is actually a super smart, serious guy like you assumed. This goes into another aspect of character development. It's a beautiful example, too, because it gives the audience what they expect, just not how they expect it. Right. You know? Another major twist. Nathan tells Caleb there's a third question to Ava. Is she pretending to like you? This is right after Caleb has hatched a plan to break Ava out of the facility. This is the point where the viewer realizes Caleb has completely fallen for Ava and AI. This is a beautiful point in the story as it makes Caleb, the viewer, and Ava answer questions. Right. The first question makes Caleb ask, will he take that question into consideration and change his plan, the one that Nathan posed, is she pretending to like you? Or will he go through with his initial plan and still break Ava out? Second, the viewer. Wouldn't we try that if we were in that situation? Meaning if we were Ava, wouldn't we try to get him to like us so he can break me out? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Exactly. If so, then doesn't that give Ava consciousness?
Yeah. Unless she was programmed.
So then...
But that's another thing I'm too conscious of. Like, when you ask me that question, would I? Like, I would be thinking about too much shit, because it's like, if she is programmed to deceive me, like, I'm going to take the hammer, smash her. But if it's somehow gained the conscious, then, like, all right, cool, I'm going to help you break out.
I guess it's so...
But I would have no idea of knowing, so no matter what, the AI would end up winning.
Right. I mean, I guess it's so... You really have to watch the movie, I would say, but definitely, as far as you're concerned, Ava is just a built AI.
Yeah.
You know, so she has... Wow, I guess I don't really know how to explain it. Because you asked, is she programmed to try and make that? But in order to be programmed that way, you would have to give her things that are human, like conscious, like imagination, self-awareness, things of that nature.
Yeah. But to be honest with...
So wouldn't that mean that she has consciousness? And if so...
You know what I just realized? I think a lot of people, including myself, like, just subconsciously, when you talk about if AI had conscience or not, I think we're actually talking about physical feel. Because we go like, if I hit her, is she gonna feel sad? But why are we so worried about smashing the computer? You know what I'm saying? Like, because what actually is consciousness?
But does a computer have imagination? Can a computer think for itself? Does it know it is a computer?
A lot nowadays. I don't know about back then, but a lot. Yeah, now, yeah. Because here's the thing, like, we say it's programmed and stuff, but like it actually learns. Like, computers get smarter. Not all, but I'm saying, like, if you, like, somebody building an Android right now, it'd be built to get smarter. And you can do that. It's not like, it's not impossible anymore. You know,
but it's smart's imagination.
I think I think the quality of imagination, like being able to not know 2 + 2 and then learn it by yourself, I think that's imagination. It's just a different type.
Does a robot have sexuality? Can it manipulate you?
You can easily manipulate.
Right.
Sexuality, I mean,
have empathy.
That's up to the creator. The sexuality thing, it depends on what you give. But empathy, I think all these questions, are up to the creator and what the creator put in the AI. I think that it's not far-fetched to say yeah to all the questions, but it depends on what kind of computing it has. You know what I'm saying?